Hi there! Today I'm sharing a new simple fused glass design that you can use to make pendants or earrings using recycled glass and a small microwave kiln. So if you're not familiar with microwave kilns, they are exactly what they sound like. They're little kilns that go into your microwave and heat up the glass to fuse the glass. And they're very simple little contraptions, really. There's a base, and this smaller circle here is the working surface. So you don't have a huge amount of space to place the glass. They do make slightly larger kilns. If you find a larger kiln, you're going to need probably a higher watt microwave. I have a 1,000-watt microwave, and this small kiln heats up very nicely in that. And then your other piece is actually the heating element. So this inside layer here is what heats up, and the rest of it is basically just insulation, but the whole thing does get very, very hot. Now, there are lots of different price ranges for the kilns, and I have a couple of different kilns. One was more expensive, the other one was less expensive, and as far as I can tell, there's not a great deal of difference. They are slightly different in size, but the construction is always the same. The other thing you might want to consider when you're looking into purchasing one of the kilns is whether you want to buy a kit or just the kiln by itself. And some of the benefits of getting the kiln kits are that they usually come with heat-resistant gloves, and they come with a little bit of glass that you can use to start fusing. A lot of times they have some jewelry findings and a coring tool for the glass, and they usually will come with kiln paper as well, and you will definitely need some kiln paper. So before I get started, I do want to talk a little bit about safety, because I get a lot of questions about that. And so there's 3 stages, and the first one is cutting. Now, you're going to want to use your preferred cutting tool, but I prefer these wheeled tile cutters, and they don't make terribly precise cuts, but I'm a little bit lazy about cutting my glass, and I just like to do it quickly. They also make scoring tools, and if you want to use those, you can definitely use those also. And there's probably some other cutting tools that you can use as well. Now, the thing you want to be careful of when you're cutting is that little glass shards may fly around, and you're holding glass. So you definitely want some gloves. You probably want some safety goggles. And then for my purposes, I like to have a little pan to catch my shards of glass. So I will cut over this pan, and most of the little pieces will fall into the pan. And then I have a paintbrush just to brush out the little shards and put all the glass back into the container that I store it in. The next piece is the heating portion of the fusing. And as I mentioned, the kiln gets very, very hot. And the glass inside, of course, is molten hot. And so you're definitely going to want some heat-resistant gloves. The other question that I get probably the most often is, do I need a dedicated microwave for my fusing? Certainly, if you want to err on the side of caution, I would recommend getting a dedicated microwave. Even if you purchase a separate microwave, this is still one of the most economical ways to learn about glass fusing and kind of get started in the glass fusing process. And also, I would just recommend following the instructions that come with your kiln. One of my kilns says to clean the microwave, and the other one says it's not recommended to use in a microwave where you cook your food. So that's just a decision that you'll have to come to on your own, and certainly the safer choice is to have a dedicated microwave. There are also small tabletop kilns that are between a large kiln and the microwave kiln in pricing, but it's just another consideration that you could think about if you are interested in fusing glass, but you are not wanting to use a microwave kiln. The final step in processing the glass is filing and sanding, and in some cases you may not need to do this, but in other cases you might have little sharp ends that you want to file down. And if you're doing that, I recommend using a stone with a little bit of water to contain the dust, and you might also want a dust mask, or if you're doing a lot of glass sanding, you might want to invest in a respirator. The final question that I get asked a lot about is the coefficient of expansion on the glass, and it's usually noted as a COE. These are some glass pieces that came with one of my kilns, and they all say 90, which is probably a pretty standard COE, I believe. Now, again, here you're going to have to decide on your own what kind of risks you're interested in taking, because I use recycled glass in my kiln, and I don't know the coefficient of expansion. But the general rule is that you don't want to try to fuse glass that has different coefficients of expansion. So I don't know what another popular number is, but if you're fusing glass with a COE of 90, you want to stick with that range, is the general rule of thumb. So if you're nervous about fusing glass that you do not know what the coefficient of expansion is, then I would recommend just sticking with purchased glass, and they will tell you what the coefficient is. So as I mentioned, I like to use recycled glass, and I haven't had any terrible issues with it not fusing. So again, you can experiment with different glasses if you're curious, or you can stick with glass that you purchase and you know the coefficient of expansion. You can also use different cutting tools, but as I mentioned, I like to just use these wheeled cutters, and again, I do not get very precise cuts because of the glass curve and because of the different thicknesses that I'm cutting through. So generally when I'm cutting, I like to just cut into small pieces, and then I will build the shape on the kiln, kind of choosing my pieces at random. So I'm just going to start cutting here, and I like to kind of catch my shards and make sure they go into the pan here. And because my kiln is so small, I need a lot of small pieces, so I'm not worried about being terribly precise. If you've seen some of my other glass videos, you know that from little triangle shapes you can make little dots. The kiln really smooths out the edges, which you'll see in a minute. So these pieces won't go to waste. I can build different shapes with them, but what I'm looking for, obviously, are some sort of longer pieces to make my cross shape with. So once you have your small pieces of glass cut and you're ready to start arranging them, you're going to need a piece of kiln paper. And it comes in different sizes. You can get pre-cut, you can get some that are cut in circles already. You can find some that is thicker and some that's thinner. And I've used several different kinds, and they all seem to work very similarly. So I don't really have a recommendation on what kiln paper to use. So I'm just going to build my cross shape. And again, I'm working with kind of curved pieces, and so I do end up with some failures. They don't always turn out perfectly. You want to make sure that you keep your glass on the paper. You don't want it to get on the kiln itself. And I've experimented with a couple of different ways to shape these crosses. And I haven't really found a perfect way to do it. And just because of the random nature of the pieces that I'm using, I do end up with, you know, some variations, and none of them are exactly the same. For this shape, you want to not have too much glass in the middle, because you don't want your pieces to round out too much. You also don't want them to pull apart, which they can do. So you want your pieces touching. So hopefully you can see that these pieces are a little bit pointed on the ends, and I'm facing all the points toward the center because I want my pieces to touch, but I don't want to accumulate or have too much bulky glass in the center, because if I do, it will really misshape the center of my cross pieces. I have heard some people use a little bit of super glue, I think, to hold the pieces in place. And to be honest, I've never really tried that. I just work with the pieces until I get them balanced. And then you carefully set your base into the microwave. You want to make sure your pieces haven't shifted. And then you can put the top of the kiln on and heat up your kiln. Now, my particular kiln takes about 3 minutes to heat up, and I usually check my pieces at the 3-minute mark. And then depending on what I see in the glass, I will choose to heat the kiln for another 30 seconds or a minute, sometimes only 15 seconds, and that's just something that you'll learn as you work with your kiln. This picture is after the 3-minute mark, and you can still see that there are quite a bit of sharp edges on the glass, and it hasn't really smoothed out yet. And then these following pictures are just in 30-second increments. And you can see that the glass is getting smoother and has more of a glow to it. And in the final picture, you can see that it has a nice even glow throughout the glass. So once you're done heating the glass, you need to remove the kiln from the microwave and put it on a heat-resistant surface and let the kiln cool down for about an hour. My kiln has had plenty of time to cool down now, so we're going to take a peek and see how this latest fused project turned out. And it looks pretty good. When you are removing your fused projects from your fusing paper, you'll probably find that there is a little bit of paper backing stuck to the back of your piece. Sometimes you get more than others, and you can just rinse this off with a little bit of water. And then your fusing paper just needs to be thrown away. It is meant for single use. So there is a little bit of trial and error here. You can see I have quite a bit of variation in my crosses, but I was able to get most of them to turn out. I did have a couple of pieces that did come apart, and once they pull apart, you really can't repair them. These are actually fused a little bit farther than I even wanted to, because you can see how they've really lost their definition as far as the pieces of the squared cross. And I even fused one where I just kind of tried to get this piece to attach, and so I just kept fusing it, and like I mentioned, the glass will just draw up on itself, and so it just turned into one big circle and just lost its shape entirely. So you can certainly have pieces that don't fuse quite right. The good news is you can refuse the glass and start over. And I think I mentioned that for this particular shape, you're better off if you do a little less fusing, because you can see this green shape and maybe this brown shape were fused maybe a little bit too long. They just got a little too fat and they drew together, whereas some of these other ones just have a nice flatter shape. Now you can see, for instance, this one probably slipped a little bit, but I think it still works. And then to finish these, some of them I've just glued with some E6000 glue a little jewelry bail on the back. And you can also just do a little bit of wire wrapping and make your own jewelry bails if you want to. This is 24 gauge wire. That works pretty well for making the hoop and for wrapping the little pieces of glass. And then you're ready to add some earring hooks or jewelry chain to make a necklace. If you're interested in more information on fusing glass, I do have several other tutorials on my channel, and you can also find an all-encompassing workshop that's over 2 hours of video of pretty much everything I've learned working with my microwave kiln. I hope you enjoyed today's project. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up to let YouTube know that you'd like to see more content from this channel. Also, you can find a place in the description to sign up to receive the Upcycled Design Lab newsletter. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.